flip the chairs up slow. One leg scraping across the floor. That old ceiling fan near the kitchen kept pushing smoke toward the door. Somebody left change in the jukebox. The song still playing low and warm. I stood there longer than I needed, watching rain collect outside the storm door. The waitress carried cups to the sink, didn't say much after two. She just nodded when I grabbed my jacket, like everybody there already knew. The beer signs buzzed against the window, blue lights shaking in the glass. The jukebox kept singing to nobody, while the last few minutes passed. In the parking lot, look, washed out silver under those highway lamps. Cold air moving through the cracked car window, while the engine warmed my hands. Radio static somewhere in the dashboard, county station drifting in and out. I felt better leaving all that noise behind me. Still didn't feel good about it somehow. Truck tires whispered down the frontage road, red lights fading through the mist. I passed the laundromat on Mason, still glowing like it never closed. There was an old receipt beside the ashtray, coffee smell still in my coat. The city got smaller in the mirror till it turned into scattered gold. No big goodbye, nobody chasing anybody down. Just the wipers keeping time, and empty streets behind the town. The jukebox played the empty chairs long after the room cleared out. I drove south beneath those low clouds, with the radio turned way down. Somewhere near the county line, rain started tapping on the roof, and all the noise back there behind me sounded softer than the truth. Neon fading in the rear view, fog building past the glass. Just highway lines and midnight going past. station. Plastic bag caught in the fence again. Ice machine humming through the dark. Like it's been awake all night too. Girl at the register killed the lights at 2. Didn't say much when I paid. Coffee tasted burned near the bottom. Still carried it out in the rain. My wipers dragging slow across the glass. AM static coming in and out. Truck headlights rolling through the fog and disappearing south. There's an old Coke machine by the side door, buzzing soft beneath the neon. Somebody left half a cigarette there, still smoking in the ashtray when I walk by. Wind pushing rainwater through the lot, my jacket smelling like wet smoke. I sat inside with the engine running, listening to the dashboard rattle. Some old song loose, cold wind behind the gas station. Southbound under low black clouds, radio singing through the static, quiet enough to feel alone with it. And every mile keeps stretching far, the past truck stops and faded signs, like this whole highway don't end nowhere after this time of night. Around 3:17 the rain got heavier, neon bending across the windshield. Coffee cup slid onto the floorboard when the thunder rolled somewhere west. Thought about calling somebody once, just to hear another voice, but the station dropped into more static, and I kept driving south. Pedal steel crying low through the speakers, cold air leaking through the door. Nothing moving out beyond the highway except those red tail lights in the storm. Cold wind behind the gas station, wet asphalt shining under weak white light. Old blues song floating through the dashboard like somebody barely holding on. And the farther down these roads I wander, the quieter the world becomes, till it's only tires on rainwater and fluorescent lights humming alone. Station sign fading in the mirror, wipers keeping tight time. Cold wind moving through the roadside grass, radio still alive tonight. Tape hissed, engine hum, rain against the windshield, southbound through the dark again. Coffee cups under fluorescent light, count 'em and yawning near the pie case sign. Rainwater drying on my boots, been driving since somewhere past Baton Rouge. Woman in a denim jacket smokes outside, headlights drag slow across the blinds. Coffee taste burnt still keeps me warm. That's about enough this close to dawn. Waitress asks if I'm heading far. I look out toward the park, semis and shrub. She fills my cup without another word, like quiet something everybody learned. Ice machine humming through the back room wall, old country song barely there at all. My motel key beside the salt, hands still shaking from the road. Coffee cups on the fluorescent light, blue-eyed glow in the middle of the night. Nobody laughing much in here, just tired voices and disappearing rain. And the highway still rolls through my head, even sitting still instead, like the tires never really stop. After nights like this, truck stop clock says 3:18. Couple truckers drifting off to sleep. TV weather flickers without sound. Cold front pushing southbound. My jacket smells like smoking rain. Ashtray full beside the change. Outside the neon buzzes low, like it don't wanna stay awake no more. Somewhere past the counter light, coffee steams into the silence. Nobody asking where anybody's been tonight. Coffee cups under fluorescent light, blue-white glow and tired eyes. Wet parking lot beneath the sign, fog moving slow past the highway lines. And for a minute I let myself sit. No radio noise, no driving wind, just the sound of cups and fluorescent buzz, carrying the rest of the night. Stacking chairs alone while trucks keep rolling through the dark. Tape hiss. fading slowly into silence. The engine ticked for a while. After I shut it down, rainwater sliding off the hood onto the empty parking lot. Somewhere nearby, an ice machine kept humming. The motel sign flickered again. Blue lights shaking in the fall. Room 7 smelled like wet denim and cigarettes trapped in the curtains. The woman at the front desk was watching some old game show rerun. She pushed the key across the counter without saying much at all. There was burnt coffee in the lobby next to a stack of local maps, and somebody laughing through the wall before everything went quiet again. The motel sign flickered again outside the half-closed blinds. Rain shining under the parking lot of lights, while trucks rolled somewhere past the highway. I sat there a while without moving, just listening to the air conditioner rattle and the neon buzzing off and on near the edge of the roof. My boots left water on the carpet beside the bed and metal chair. There was a number written on the lampshade, faded almost out of sight. The radio barely held a station, static drifting through old country songs. One voice disappearing into another, like towns passing after midnight. I thought about calling somebody, but it would have turned into a long conversation. So I let the cigarette burn slowly in the motel ashtray. Around 4:30 in the morning, a freight train moved somewhere south of town. The sound stayed low against the rain and slowly disappeared. For a minute, the room didn't feel quite so empty. The motel sign flickered again, blue reflections across the window. Coffee gone cold near the television, smoke hanging over the nightstand lamp. The highway still moving somewhere outside, tires hissing through leftover rain, and the radio playing soft enough to almost fall asleep to. The motel sign flickered again, right before the sky turned gray. I watched the light fade against the wall, till morning finally took the color with it. Low baritone guitar, soft pedal steel, tape hiss, rain against the motel window. The bartender killed the neon sign. One table still covered in empty glasses. Some old country song fading through the wall, while the waitress counted tips alone. Pulled my jacket off the chair, still smell like smoke and fried grease. Outside, rain sat on the parking lot, turning the asphalt silver underneath. A truck rolled slow past Route 9, throwing water across my boots. I stood there by the back door while listening to the ice machine buzz. The cab was cold when I got in, coffee cup sliding near the seat. I turned the key halfway first, just to hear something besides myself. Static drifting through the speakers, some late preacher from Abilene, then a worn-out guitar somewhere distant, barely making it through the noise. Static on the Texas radio, highway lines running pale and thin. Town disappeared behind the rain, like it was never holding me there to begin with. And the night got quieter southbound, just tires singing over wet concrete. The radio cutting in and out, like somebody too tired to keep talking. Dashboard glowing faded green, cigarette burning near the window crack. Past an empty diner off the highway, chairs already turned upside down. Somewhere near the county line, fog started lowering through the fields. I drove with one hand on the wheel, and the heater breathing against my knees. The song came through for half a minute and disappeared back into static. Still I kept driving slower, like I knew it would come back eventually. Static on the Texas radio, cold headlights stretching through the dark. Every mile loosening something loose inside me, without saying much about it. And it felt lonely in a quiet way, not the kind that asks to be fixed. Just another road after closing time, and another night driving through it. Finally disappeared near dawn, but I never turned the radio off. Bartender killed the jukebox first, and the neon signs one by one. Smoke drifted out the back door into the cold, long route night. Somebody dragged a chair across the floor, a bottle rolled somewhere in the kitchen. I stood outside with my keys a minute, watching headlights slide through the mist. That waitress wiped down the counter slow, didn't say much when I left, just looked up for half a second, like she already knew I'd be back. The parking lot still smelled like rain, beer signs buzzing through the wall. My jacket carried smoke and fire grease from sitting there too long again. I got inside the car, cold steering wheel in both hands, radio static under the engine noise, heater barely breathing yet, smoke drifting past Route 9, blue light shaking in the puddles, the town fading softer behind me. every mile or two. No big ending waiting out there, no reason to drive this slow, just tires moving through wet darkness and the radio staying low. There was an old coffee cup by the seat, receipts slid around near my boots. I drove south beneath the power lines while fog swallowed the shoulder lanes. A truck passed somewhere to my left, red lights disappearing quick. I almost turned around once when the song changed on the radio, but the bar was already gone by then, just neon glow behind the fog, and that quiet feeling that shows up after everybody finally leaves. Smoke drifting past Route 9, AM voices drowning in static, low clouds hanging over the highway like they got nowhere else to go. No angels in the rearview mirror, no lesson hiding in the night, just another empty road unwinding past the edge of town. The lighter slid across the dashboard, rain started somewhere ahead, and the last of that neon glow fell behind the trees. Smoke drifting past Route 9, smoke drifting past Route 9. Rain slowing down outside, ice machine humming somewhere down the hall. Truck stop coffee burned my tongue a little. Woman at the register didn't say much when I walked in. Just pushed the cup across the counter without looking up. Yellow light buzzing overhead like it hadn't slept in days. There was an empty glass beside the register, lipstick fading near the rim. Somebody must have left in a hurry or got tired of waiting around. My jacket smelled like highway rain and old cigarettes from Amarillo, water dripping off my boots on the cracked black tile. An old country station kept fading in and out through static. I let it play anyway. Couple truckers near the window, half asleep in dirty caps, Nobody trying too hard to start a conversation. Empty glass beside the register, neon shaking on the floor. 4:30 in the morning and the coffee's gone cold again. Headlights sliding past the window, then disappearing southbound. Felt like everybody in that place was trying not to think about something. I kept your number in my wallet, folded soft at the corners. Thought about calling once and watched the rain instead. The waitress wiped the same spot twice without even noticing. Outside the parking lot stayed wet and silver under those pale motel lights. No big ending to any of it, just tired hands, a paper cup, and silence. Sitting down beside me, empty glass beside the register. Last shift dragging toward dawn. Blue light trembling through the smoke from the back door near the ice machine. Radio static, coffee stains, southbound trucks out on the highway. I stayed longer than I needed to, just resting my eyes a while. Sky turning charcoal gray, rainwater drying on the windshield. I paid the bill, picked up my keys, and walked back into the cold. Baritone, baritone coffee, burned my tongue a little. Woman at the register didn't say much when I walked in. Just pushed the cup across the counter without looking up. Yellow light buzzing overhead like it hadn't slept in days. There was an empty glass beside the register, lipstick fading near the rim. Somebody must have left in a hurry or got tired of waiting around. My jacket smelled like highway rain and old cigarettes from Amarillo. Water dripping off my boots on the cracked black tile. An old country station kept fading in and out through static. I let it play anyway. Just pushed the cup across the counter without looking up. Yellow light buzzing overhead like it hadn't slept in days. There was an empty glass beside the register, lipstick fading near the rim. Somebody must have left in a hurry Well, got tired of waiting around. My jacket smelled like highway rain, no cigarettes from Amarillo, water dripping off my boots on the cracked black tile. An old country station kept fading in and out through static. I let it play anyway. Couple truckers near the window, half asleep in dirty caps. Nobody trying too hard to start a conversation. An empty glass beside the register, neon shaking on the floor. Rain on the windshield, engine noise low beneath the radio. Somewhere west of Amarillo, the heater barely worked at all. I kept one hand around a paper cup, trying to hold what little warmth was left. There was a dog asleep beside the ice machine at a truck stop near the county line. A man in muddy boots kept feeding quarters into a cigarette machine that jammed twice. I heard your voice for half a second, somewhere inside the radio static. Turned out to be an old country station, fading in and out with the weather. The wipers dragged slow across the glass, smearing truck lights into silver streaks. Mile after mile looked exactly the same. Wet road, low clouds, nothing open. I stopped for gas around 2:30. Coffee stains on the counter by the register. The woman working nights looked tired too. Didn't say much when she handed back my change. There was a cassette on the passenger seat, still stuck where you left it last winter. Never played the other side, didn't really need to. Tape noise and midnight miles, southbound through the rain again. Dashboard light on tired hands. Fog rolling past the guardrails, no calls coming through tonight. No town waiting up ahead, just old songs bleeding through static, and headlights drifting through the dark. The neon outside the motel flickered hard, buzzing blue against the parking lot. I stood there smoking under the awning, listening to trucks out on the highway. Somewhere down the second floor hallway, a television stayed on all night. Thin walls, running pipes, footsteps overhead, nobody really sleeping much. I kept thinking about turning back around Oklahoma maybe, but the road kept pulling south like it already made the choice for me. Maybe everybody driving after midnight is carrying something unfinished, a conversation that never landed right, or a name they quit saying out loud. Tape noise and midnight miles, rain tapping soft against the roof, baritone guitar humming low through worn out roadside speakers. Gas gauge hanging near empty, cold air slipping through the door. Another town disappearing behind me before I even saw the name. The radio stayed on till morning, static between old country songs, clouds moving slow above the highway, coffee gone cold beside the wheel. Rain easing somewhere near dawn. Rain on the windshield, engine noise low beneath the radio. Somewhere west of Amarillo, the heater barely worked it off. I kept one hand around the paper cup, trying to hold what little warmth was left. There was a dog asleep beside the ice machine at a truck stop near the county line. A man in muddy boots kept feeding quarters into a cigarette machine that jammed twice. I heard your voice for half a second, somewhere inside the radio stack. Turned out to be an old country station, fading in and out with the weather. The wipers drag slow across the glass, smearing truck lights into silver streaks. Mile after mile looked exactly the same, wet road, low clouds, nothing open. I stopped for gas around 2:30, coffee stains on the counter by the register. The woman working nights were tired too, didn't say much when she handed back my change. There was a cassette on the passenger seat, still stuck where you left it last winter. Pushing sideways past the windshield, radio station barely holding on. Somewhere west of Amarillo, the heater clicking every few miles. Tires hissing through Amarillo rain, 18-wheelers fading through the dark, coffee cooling off between my hands, dashboard glowing weak against the storm. Stopped outside of Phillips 66. Blue light buzzing over half the lot. Kid behind the register looked tired, didn't even look up when I walked in. Old man smoking by the ice machine, watching water gather near the curb. Nobody talking much tonight, just thunder somewhere past the highway signs. And the tires keep hissing through Amarillo rain, slow and steady through another county line. Wipers dragging time across the glass, everything tonight moving half a light. Your voice still comes and goes inside the static, like a station drifting out somewhere at dawn. Some nights the road feels like forever, still I keep the engine on. Motel vacancy blinking through the fog, red letters shaking in a puddle down below. My jacket smelling like stale smoke again, from that bar outside Tucumcari. Last stool turned upside down by the wall, bartender counting bills beneath the TV light. I can still hear quarters in the jukebox, and somebody coughing near the door. Rainwater running off the hood, cold air leaking through the driver's side seal. Both hands resting loose along the wheel, like I'd been driving all my life. Around 3:30, the storm got harder, road lines disappearing underwater, radio falling into static again. Just engine noise, tires in the rain, and those long black fields beside the highway. Tires hissing through Amarillo rain, mile markers passing slow beneath the storm. Nothing waiting past the state line, still I keep rolling toward the dark. Your memory sitting quiet in the passenger seat, like it never really left it all. In the highway stretching out forever, black and silver after midnight. Coffee gone cold in the cup holder, truck stoplights fading in the mirror. Rain still moving over West Texas, soft against the hood. Not morning yet, not even close. Tires hissing through Amarillo rain, radio static drifting in and out. Wipers dragging slow across the glass, southbound through the storm. Rain on the windshield, radio barely coming through. southbound again. Stopped outside Amarillo for coffee. Fluorescent lights humming overhead. Girl behind the counter looked tired too. Didn't say much when she handed me the change. My jacket still smelled like cigarette smoke from the bar back in Wichita Falls. Some old country station kept fading in and out. Steel guitar buried under the static. I sat there longer than I meant to. Truck tires whispering down the highway. Fog sitting low across the road. Ashtray full beside the shifter. Cold air slipping through the cracked window. The heater came and went like it couldn't make up its mind. Every few miles another empty station. Another voice talking through the dark. Somewhere near the state line, the road stopped feeling real. The radio stayed on till dawn. Even when the signal got weak, just low voices and old songs, keeping the silence off me. Rain dragging across the glass dashboard, glowing soft and blue. I don't think I was heading anywhere, I just couldn't pull over yet. Motel room facing the parking lot. Vacancy sign buzzing outside the curtain. Water dripping from the ice machine. Somebody's TV bleeding through the wall. I left the lamp on beside the bed. Boots still wet near the heater. The radio sitting quiet on the nightstand. Static moving slow between songs. I kept listening like I knew the voice. Nobody sounds awake after 4 a.m. Not the truckers, not the radio hosts, not me. The radio stayed on till dawn. Soft static filling up the room. Headlights moving past the curtains, then disappearing back into rain. Morning coming up somewhere gray. Coffee gone cold by the bed. The sky getting lighter little by little, while the night refused to leave. Rain against the motel window. Low signal drifting through the dark. The radio stayed on till dawn, and somehow that was enough. Static fading. Truck tires far down the highway. Rainwater moving through the parking lot. lights humming overhead. Girl behind the counter looked tired too. Didn't say much when she handed me the change. My jacket still smelled like cigarette smoke from the bar back in Wichita Falls. Some old country station kept fading in and out. The steel guitar buried under the stack. I sat there longer than I meant to. Truck tires whispering down the highway. Fog sitting low across the road. Ashtray full beside the shifter. Cold air slipping through the cracked window. The heater came and went like it couldn't make up its mind. Every few miles another empty station, another voice talking through the dark. Somewhere near the state line, the road stopped feeling real. Truck tires whispering down the highway.
Tape hiss. Air conditioner humming low. Pulling close to 4 a.m. Wipers dragging slow across the glass. Truck stop coffee in my left hand. Rainwater running off the dash. The woman at the counter looked half asleep. Didn't say much when I paid. Just pushed the room key down the counter. Beneath the cigarette stains, there was mud dried up around my boots. A buzzing light outside the door. Some old country station playing softly from the room beside mine. Through the wall, the neon buzzed until morning. Blew across the parking lot. Headlights moved along the curtains and disappeared and stopped. I sat there with the TV glowing, without the volume on. Somewhere south of Amarillo, trying to rest my eyes a while. Ice machine shaking down the hallway like it never went to sleep. My coffee turned cold beside the bed, still halfway full beside the receipt. I thought about calling somebody and let the thought pass by. Could hear 18-wheelers rolling southbound through the wet black highway night. A waitress laughed out near the diner, and silence settled back in slow. Only the soda machine humming and that blue motel glow. The neon buzzed until morning, flickering through the blinds. Rain shining under truck stop lights like broken dashboard lines. I watched the dark turn gray a little above the empty road. Some nights keep moving through you long after you get home. Radio static on the nightstand enough to barely hear some preacher talking through the static, then an old George Jones somewhere. Morning coming through the curtains, cold against the room, neon finally losing color while the highway carried on. The neon buzzed until morning. Until morning. Last chair upon the table, bartender wiping down the rail. Some old country station playing low, through a speaker near the kitchen. I stood a second by the back door, smoke hanging in the yellow light. Nobody talking much by then, just ice melting somewhere behind the bar. Change folded in my shirt pocket, keys cold from sitting on the counter. Rainwater moving through the parking lot, past a rusted Chevrolet. The waitress shut coffee machine off, one motel sign buzzing down the road. Somebody laughed out in the alley, and the whole place went still again. Baritone blues after closing time, low strings rolling through the dash. That old neon fading in the mirror like the night was finally giving out. Wipers dragging slow across the glass, southbound under broken clouds. I cracked the window just enough to let the cold air move around. Gas station glowing at the corner, blue lights shaking on wet concrete, radio static between two stations, and then an old voice drifting back in. I kept driving past the warehouses, past the last lit bar downtown, engine humming soft beneath me, streetlights thinning mile by mile. Didn't feel lost, didn't feel alright either, just tired enough to keep driving. Ham hiss, highway noise, rain against the windshield.
windshield. Nobody needing anything from me. Baritone blues after closing time. Empty road beneath the wires. Coffee smell still on my jacket. Neon sinking behind my eyes. Headlights moving through the drizzle. Low clouds over county lines. That old guitar riding beside me, like it had nowhere else to go. AM radio glow. Rain on the hood. Another truck stop waiting somewhere further south.